Well, good morning, everyone. My name is MightyStream, and I'm going to do your May the 19th spiritual principle day in a meditation. I hope you're having a wonderful morning. Let's go ahead and get into that meditation. Ooh, it looks long. All right. It is entitled Selflessness, Self-Care, and Our Spiritual Condition. Now they know they cannot put all those topics in this small, this small space, but we'll see how well they do, okay? All right. It says, the principles we learn in the steps help us let go of our selfishness and lovingly serve the needs of others. That is taken from It Works, Tradition 1. In hindsight, many of us find that self-centeredness shaped our thinking and behavior. We realize how much energy we spent protecting our fragile egos, imagining what others thought about us, or carefully curating our image on social media. Privately, we were often negative, selfish, and entitled as we neglected the work of doing our best with what we had. That was heavy. The steps have a way of setting us on a more productive course in life. We see who we've been, come to understand who we are, and clear out what interferes with taking a more positive, selfless, and grateful approach to life. Whether we're new or have been around a while, some of us take up seemingly selfless activities like ducks to water. But like anything that feels good, we can take selflessness to unhealthy extremes. We do love too much of a good thing, after all. And bonus, we can avoid examining ourselves by becoming immersed in helping others. Many of us learn the hard way that unrestrained generosity can harm both the giver and the recipient. As the old saying goes, you can't draw water from an empty well. The steps help us build a more realistic self concept and a life we don't want to run from. To practice selflessness requires that I first have a sense of self, in the words of one member. I tell my sponsees, you first, right after me. We take responsibility for our own well being and strive for harmony as we contribute to our common welfare. The principles of the steps help us establish healthy boundaries and strive for balance. For many of us, the ideal of loving and serving others selflessly adds a new dimension to our spiritual self-care routine. We find ways to recharge and gather fresh inspiration so we can selflessly contribute to NA unity. I will care for my spiritual condition so that I can selflessly love and serve and contribute to NA unity. The steps are the key to my outlook and well-being, although a bubble bath and some dark chocolate won't hurt either. Such a beautiful meditation. Let's go ahead and take a moment of silence, followed by the we version of the Serenity Prayer. Moment of silence now, please. Thank you. God, grant us the serenity to accept the things that we cannot change, the courage to change the things that we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Just for today, please and thank you. What a powerful meditation. Yeah, definitely there's a lot in there. However, it's easy to follow. It's very easy to follow. Selflessness, self-care, and our spiritual condition. Here we're talking about tradition one. We're talking about the unity. right? The unity that we need to have in order for this to work. However, it doesn't come at the sacrifice, right? The unity does not come at the sacrifice of our mental, emotional, spiritual, financial, our personal well-being. The personal well-being has to come first, right? In order for us to be able to participate in a unity. Because when we're looking at tradition one, which says our common welfare should come first, personal recovery, depends on in a unity. So in order for me to allow tradition one to come alive, okay, because the traditions are talking about the group, right? So in order for it to come alive, in order for our common welfare to actually be first, I need to work on my personal recovery. And it does depend on NA unity. It does depend on a united front. It does depend on there actually being meetings that are on the list, open and operative. And that those meetings should maintain an atmosphere of recovery. It shouldn't be where people drop in and half of the room, people in the room, are cross talking or talking to each other, having their own conversations while people are trying to share. And then the shares should not be sniper shares. There should be an atmosphere of recovery. All of that, if there's an atmosphere of recovery, right, helps my personal recovery to thrive. But if my personal recovery doesn't thrive, then I'm not really in a position to contribute anything towards NA unity because I haven't taken care of the unity from within. I haven't come to a peaceful place within myself. So I give what I have to give. And if there's no water within the well, who's going to draw anything from it? I can't draw anything from it. So how can someone else? So if you are an individual that is working with sponsees or doing service work, that personal self-care is primary. That's the first thing. That personal self-care. Or it's kind of redundant, but you understand what I'm saying. Your self-care has to come first. And the people that are in your life, they don't know the boundaries. They know what they think they need from you. Oh, for sure. They know what they think they're entitled to get from you. Because we don't stop being manipulative the moment we get clean. And so those people in our lives, they still are oftentimes operating out of that entitled disposition, that negative, selfish manner, right? And they're going to tap your energy and everybody else's, including your pockets, if you allow them. So if I don't draw the boundary, if I don't make it clear, and I will always be a recovering codependent, right? So because I care a lot. But if I don't draw the boundary, they will keep crossing it and crossing it and crossing it and crossing it till I'm in the hospital laid up somewhere from having a stroke from stress. And you know what? Those very same people that push me to the brink because I don't draw a clear boundary are in no mental, spiritual, physical, financial condition to help me when my bottom drops out. They can't help me pick up my pieces. Never have and never will. And so I am responsible for my personal recovery. And yeah, it depends on NA unity and our common welfare, right? Should come first. Yeah, that's true. But that's only after you have reached a point of self-care where you have something to contribute. If it's nothing more than a listening ear and not being so worried about what you're going to share next. If it's nothing less than just being a hugger, a greeter, someone that welcomes people, someone that notices who's new and say, come sit up here with me at the table. My name is so-and-so. It's good to meet you. Would you like to see where the coffee and the bathrooms are? Show them where it's at so that if that's what they need, they don't have to sit there like that, uncomfortable, afraid to ask where are the bathrooms or interrupt the meeting. Tell me where the bathroom is. No, show them where it's at when they come through the door if they're not late. And I said nothing less because that's a pretty big deal for someone to be willing to contribute towards the unity of this program by welcoming newcomers at the door. But all of that comes out of a place of wellness. There's nothing worse than someone doing service work and they're angry and don't want to do it. If that's you, make the announcement, give your notice, and just stop doing it and move more into your step work and self-care and get your healthy boundaries together, get your personal well-being together and come back to it. Because, I've been through a lot. And I know the next person probably has too. So when I come to a meeting, it's like, oh, I made it. Even if I don't share, that's how I feel when I go to a meeting. It's like, oh, I made it safe. I didn't snap on anyone. I didn't run anyone off the road. I didn't cuss anybody out. I stayed in my lane. I represented who my higher power is in a fine fashion. And I made it to my people, my tribe. I'm so glad to be here. And sometimes I can just weep from being safe in the meeting and feeling safe. There's a person I know that when they chair a meeting, they always say at the end, not always, but they say it's been a safe meeting. That means that they made sure nothing went awry in the meeting. They maintained the atmosphere of recovery and their conscience is clean. I love making meetings like that. Don't you? So today, I want you to care for your spiritual condition, right? So that you can selflessly love and serve and contribute to the NA unity using the steps to benefit yourself, your well-being, to reposition your perspective on the day, on life. And even though you might enjoy chocolate and bubble baths and foot massages and new clothes and hairdos and all of that self-care type stuff, we'll add that to the process of making sure our spirit person is doing good. Today is a day of self-care, selflessness in a practical sense. Don't overdo it. And make sure that your spiritual condition is where it needs to be. My name is MightyStream, and we did all of that in just a few minutes. That was amazing. I didn't think that could be done, but we did it together. I look forward to talking to you tomorrow. Have a beautiful day on purpose.